The day I finally paid off my apartment, my brother showed up with his fiancée and my parents, saying family shares everything. When I leaned in and whispered one sentence to my brother, he went completely silent. My parents haven't spoken to me since. I have zero regrets. I want to tell you about the best day of my life and the worst day of my life. They were the same day. The morning of October 14th, I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee and a single piece of paper. Final mortgage statement. Zero balance. Paid in full. I'd been staring at that paper for 10 minutes straight, not because I couldn't believe it, but because I wanted to feel every single second of it. 6 years. 6 years of substitute weekend shifts, summer school sessions, tutoring kids after hours, eating leftovers 3 days in a row, skipping trips I wanted to take, saying no to things that felt like they were for other people, people who hadn't chosen to do this the hard way. But I had chosen the hard way, and now I was holding the proof that it worked. My apartment isn't fancy. It's a 2-bedroom on the 4th floor of a building in Denver, with a view of a parking structure and a neighbor who plays guitar at 11 p.m. on weeknights. But I refinished the floors myself. I painted every wall the exact color I wanted, without asking anyone's permission. I built the bookshelf in the living room from scratch on a random Saturday because I felt like it. It was mine. Completely, fully, legally, finally mine. I took a picture of that mortgage statement and sent it to exactly one person, my best friend Dana. Her response came in 30 seconds. 14 exclamation points and a voice note of her screaming. I laughed so hard I spilled my coffee. That was 9 a.m. By noon, my brother had texted. And everything I'd built started feeling like it was under threat. Let me tell you about my brother Ryan before I tell you what he did. Ryan is 30, I'm 28. He's 2 years older than me, and has spent most of his adult life operating on the assumption that being the oldest meant he was automatically the most important. He's not a terrible person. I want to be clear about that. He's charming and funny when he wants to be, the kind of guy who can walk into a room and make everyone feel like he came specifically to see them. But Ryan has never, not once in his entire life, had to work for anything the way I did. He got a car at 16 because he asked for one. He got his college paid for because my parents prioritized his degree over mine, and I took out loans that I spent years paying off while also saving for this apartment. He moved back home at 24, after a startup he was involved in fell apart, and my parents let him stay rent-free for 3 years, while I was grinding through 60-hour weeks to save a down payment. He's been engaged to his girlfriend Natalie for about 4 months. She's fine, we've met twice. Both times, she spent most of the evening talking about how she and Ryan were going to build something really beautiful together, once they found the right place to start. I didn't think much of that phrase at the time. I know better now. Ryan's text came in at 11:53 a.m. Hey, can we swing by later? Nat and I have been talking, and we have kind of an exciting idea we want to run by you. Exciting idea, I should have known. But it was the best day of my life and I was feeling generous, so I said sure. They showed up at 3 p.m. all 4 of them. Ryan, Natalie, my mom, and my dad, pulling into the parking structure I have a view of, climbing out of 2 separate cars like they'd caravanned over together. Together. They'd come together. I watched from my window and felt the first small drop of cold in my stomach. Ryan walked in first, that big easy smile on his face, arms open like he was arriving at a party. Sis, this place looks amazing. He said it the way people say things when they want something from you. Warm, admiring, slightly too enthusiastic. Natalie came in behind him, looking around my apartment with wide eyes, nodding slowly. Oh wow, this is really nice, Lauren, like really nice. My mom kissed my cheek. My dad patted my shoulder. Everyone found seats in my living room like this was a normal visit. It was not a normal visit. I stood near the kitchen doorway and waited. Ryan leaned forward on the couch, elbows on his knees, that smile still going strong. So, we have kind of a big ask. I crossed my arms. Okay, Nat and I have been looking at places. And honestly, the market right now is brutal. Everything decent is either way out of our budget or in a location we don't love. And we were thinking about your place. My apartment. Right, yeah. And we thought, since you're here alone and the 2nd bedroom is basically just used as a storage room, it's my home office. Ryan paused, reset his smile. Right, sure. But hear me out. What if Nat and I moved in here while we save up? You could move back home with Mom and Dad for a bit, they've got plenty of room, and we'd take over your mortgage payments. I paid it off this morning. Dead silence. My mom's eyes went wide. You paid it off. Final payment cleared at 9 a.m., Ryan blinked. I watched him recalculate something behind his eyes. Okay, wow, that's amazing, Lauren, seriously. But that actually makes it even more perfect, right? No mortgage, so there's nothing to transfer, we could just… Ryan, I said his name very quietly. You want me to leave my apartment? The one I just paid off this morning, so that you and Natalie can live here. He had the audacity to nod. Just temporarily. Like a year, maybe two. Family shares big things. My mom's voice was gentle, reasonable, like she was explaining something obvious to a child. Lauren, your brother is starting a life. You have so much space here and you're alone. Your dad and I think. You already talked about this. My dad shifted in his seat. We just think it's the practical, and there was that word again. Practical, the word families use when they want to make their convenience sound like your responsibility. I looked at the four of them sitting in my living room. On my floors. In front of my bookshelf. In the apartment I had paid off 6 hours ago, and something went very still inside me. Not angry, not panicked, still. The way things get right before they become completely clear. I walked over to where Ryan was sitting, crouched down so we were at eye level. And I said very quietly so only he could hear, do you want me to tell Natalie about Phoenix? His face went white, then red. Then he stood up so fast, he knocked his knee on the coffee table and pretended he didn't feel it. What is going on? Natalie looked between us. Ryan, nothing, he said immediately, his voice too fast. It's nothing. But his hands were not nothing. His hands were shaking. I'm going to tell you about Phoenix. 2 years ago, Ryan went through what my parents called a rough patch. He'd been between jobs, he said. Stressed, he said. He needed a loan, he said, just to get back on his feet. He asked me for $6,000. I want you to understand what $6,000 meant to me at that point in my savings timeline. It was 4 months of doubled-up tutoring shifts. It was the vacation I'd skipped twice. It was a significant chunk of the down payment I was building dollar by dollar. But he was my brother, and he said he needed it, and I gave it to him. What I didn't know, what I found out 8 months later from a mutual friend, was that Ryan hadn't been just struggling. He'd been in Phoenix for 3 weeks with a woman named Adrienne, who was absolutely not Natalie, spending money like he had plenty of it, staying at a hotel I later looked up that was not cheap, while I was eating rice and beans twice a day, and tutoring 9th graders at 7 a.m. On Saturdays, he used my money to fund a secret trip with another woman. While engaged to Natalie, I confronted him. Privately, just the two of us on the phone, he cried. He apologized. He said it was a mistake, it was over. Natalie could never find out because it would destroy everything and he'd changed and he was begging me. I kept a secret. He never paid me back. Not $1. Not one text acknowledging it. Just silence and the assumption that I would keep carrying it, like I always carried everything, because I was Lauren and that's what Lauren did. Now he was sitting in my living room trying to take my apartment, and I had whispered Phoenix into the air between us. Ryan, what is she talking about? Natalie's voice had an edge now. It's old stuff, he said quickly. Family drama, you know how it is. I don't actually, she said slowly. My mom looked at me with that warning expression she'd been using my entire life. The one that said, don't make a scene, Lauren. Don't ruin this, Lauren. Just be the bigger person, Lauren. I was so tired of being the bigger person. I think everyone should probably go, I said. Lauren, my mom started. I'm not asking. The room got very quiet. My dad stood first. He looked tired and a little ashamed and he didn't meet my eyes. We'll talk later, he said. Sure, I said. Natalie looked at Ryan for a long moment. Something was moving behind her eyes. Questions that weren't going to stay quiet for long. They left, all four of them, the door closed. I stood in my living room in the silence, and I looked at my bookshelf and my floors and my walls in the colors I had chosen. And I let myself feel it. The calls started that evening. My mom first. Lauren, I don't know what you said to your brother, but Natalie is asking him questions, and you need to fix this. I didn't respond. My dad, sweetheart, let's not let this become a bigger thing than it needs to be. I didn't respond. Ryan, you had no right, that was between us, you promised. I read it, put my phone down. Made dinner, he texted again an hour later. She's asking me directly, what did you tell her? I hadn't told her anything. I'd whispered one word to him. Everything that happened after that was the weight of his own choices landing. I didn't respond to that either. Dana called at 9. I told her everything. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, how do you feel? Like I finally stopped carrying something that was never mine to carry, I said. Good, she said. You should feel that way. 3 days later, a letter arrived at my apartment, handwritten, my mom's stationery. Lauren, I want you to know that your father and I are deeply hurt by how you handled this situation. We came to you, as a family, with a reasonable request, and you responded by threatening your brother and destroying his relationship. Whatever happened between you and Ryan in the past has nothing to do with what we asked. We raised you to put family first. We don't recognize the person you've become. We need some time before we can talk to you again. I read it twice. Then I went to my desk drawer and I pulled out every document I had kept from the Phoenix situation. The bank transfer records. The texts where Ryan had asked for the money. The message from our mutual friend telling me the truth. The text from Ryan begging me to keep quiet. I photographed all of it. I didn't send it to anyone, but I kept it where I could find it, because I had learned something in 6 years of building this life by myself. Documentation matters, receipts matter. The truth doesn't expire just because someone wants it to. A week after they showed up at my door, Natalie texted me. I don't know how she got my number. Ryan probably had it in his phone. I just want to know if what I think happened actually happened. You don't owe me anything, but I'm asking anyway. I thought about it for a long time. Then I wrote back. I kept a secret I shouldn't have kept because he asked me to, and I felt sorry for him. That's all I'm going to say. Whatever you decide, I hope you make the choice that's right for you. She responded with one word. Thanks. I haven't heard from her since. I don't know what she decided. That's her life, not mine. My parents stopped calling after the letter. Ryan went completely silent. For a few weeks, I kept waiting to feel guilty. To feel the pull of it. The old reflex to apologize, to smooth things over, to become the bigger person one more time. It didn't come. What came instead was something I didn't have a name for at first. Then I figured it out. It was just quiet. The kind of quiet that comes when you stop performing for people who were never going to applaud you anyway. Dana threw me a belated paid-off apartment party on a Saturday in November. 8 people, my favorite takeout, way too much sparkling cider, and a card everyone signed that said, to Lauren, who did the hard thing and then did the harder thing. I hung it on my fridge. My apartment is still mine. Still 2 bedrooms. Still the colors I chose. Still the floors I refinished on my hands and knees on a weekend 2 years ago when I couldn't afford to hire anyone. My brother has not reached out with an apology. My parents have not acknowledged that what they asked was wrong. Maybe they will someday, maybe they won't. I've stopped organizing my life around that maybe. What I know is this. $6,000 and 6 years of silence bought me a very expensive lesson. It taught me that some people will take everything you offer and then show up asking for more. And the moment you stop offering, they'll call it betrayal. But here's the thing about betrayal. It's not betrayal to protect what you built. It's not betrayal to stop handing your life to people who never once asked if the weight was too heavy. It's not betrayal to finally, after all of it, choose yourself. The mortgage statement is still on my kitchen table. 0 balance, paid in full. Some mornings I pick it up just to hold it for a second. Remind myself what it cost. Remind myself it was worth it, every single penny. So that's my story. Was I wrong to say what I said? Should I have stayed quiet one more time? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely want to know what you would have done. And if any part of this hit close to home, hit that like button. Thanks for listening. It means more than you know.